your life. You save hard. You invest your superannuation with trusted advisors and a big-name, reliable fund. And you wake up one morning and it's all gone. The lot. Not a dollar left. Well, this is the awful reality for 12,000 Australians right now. There may be more that don't yet know. Their lives ruined in what authorities say is a homegrown and complex con orchestrated by two Australians. In this Spotlight investigation, we track down one of those men and confront a financial advisor who lost all his clients' money.
Some can deal with it, others won't be able to deal with it. That's the real tragedy of all this. You know, how many lives are going to be lost over this?
How would you feel if someone stole your future?
All of your money's gone. The whole lot is just, it's gone.
I'll be working for as long as I can. It's terrible. It's really terrible.
Gary and Michelle Thomas now live on a street of broken dreams.
That was, 11 o'clock at night, and I was actually getting ready for bed. And Gary was on the computer, and I asked him what he was doing, and he told me. And he said, it looks like all our super's gone. And I was kind of shocked. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, we had money in there yesterday. Today, there's nothing. And I just burst into tears.
In the click of a mouse, their life savings, supposedly safe in a super fund, were gone.
And I think I cried all night long. Hardly got any sleep. Had to go to work the next morning. Went with bright red eyes. Burst into tears at work. It's just, it was terrible. It's the worst feeling I've ever had.
Where does that leave you both now?
Pretty much up shit creek without a paddle.
Me personally, it's anger. You know, how do I bottle, well, I don't want to bottle the anger, but how do I channel it? You know, because I can't not have it. I'm a human being, you know, and I'm absolutely angry as fuck about this.
Morning, David. 7 Spotlight.
Brad's anger is directed at this man.
What have you done with the money?
David Anderson created the First Guardian Master Fund with his partner, Simon Selimaj. We have a lot more questions for Mr. Anderson on behalf of investors. But here's how his scheme worked. People search online for ways to grow their super. The search sets off an alert to legitimate telemarketers who contact them. They are then connected with financial advisors who recommend they put their super into the First Guardian scheme, often through trusted platforms like Equity Trustees. This leads many, including advisors, to believe the scheme is legitimate.
To me, I thought that was one of the great Australian dreams, other than owning your own home.
Exactly.
You know, it was, you know, to be to a certain degree self-reliant.
Funds introduced.
Brad and Suzanne Sumbris followed every step of this sophisticated scheme and thought they were in good hands, depositing their superannuation of $300,000 into the First Guardian Fund. Their future was looking rosy until...
Well, I get an email to say that the shares that have been frozen have now been, by the liquidators, valued at zero.
So what have you been left with?
Nothing. There's no super left.
Craig and Michelle, Brad and Suzanne, sadly aren't alone. They and 12,000 other Australians have been defrauded and devastated. All up, about $1.2 billion has been lost in the collapse of twin superannuation investment schemes, Shield and First Guardian Master Funds. At the centre of it all, David Anderson, who we tracked down. One thing is clear, this is one of Australia's worst financial disasters, with 40 investigators from the Australian Securities and Investment Commission now trying to find out who knew what crimes were committed, and where the money went. 12,000 Australians, $1.2 billion. in their savings lost. How did this happen?
What we have seen in these matters is, I would call, misconduct on an industrial scale.
You say misconduct, but isn't it outright fraud?
Well, that's what we're getting to the bottom of, and we're not ruling anything out.
Melinda Key and all the investors need ASIC to get to the bottom of it fast.
There are easily another 11,500 people out there that have got no idea that they were caught up with the First Guardian Master Fund.
Melinda Key administers a Facebook support group for victims of First Guardian.
I've talked to many people that are really at that absolute brink, that they see no hope for living. Absolutely no hope. They've lost everything. They've lost their dignity. They feel like they've lost their dignity.
Melinda's nightmare began in late 2023. She saw a convincing online advertisement, then received an informative callback. This from the actual script they used.
We help people become aware of a way to potentially increase the returns inside your super and reduce fees by having more sophisticated strategies so that are easy to understand.
And it was followed by lengthy consultations with a financial advisor who sealed the deal.
He spoke to me about, the super fund. He didn't mention First Guardian Master Fund. That he spoke to me about going into a super fund, and he had put his mother into the super fund. He was going into it as well. And that obviously builds trust.
Later, she was informed it was First Guardian, but reassured by the advisor, this was a low-risk investment fund.
So this is my statement of advice, 45 pages. They've specifically said on this page that I would be in a balanced fund. I was absolutely clear that the diversification of how I wanted the funds spread would be 15% cash, 25% shares, 25% international shares, real estate, etc. And they assured me that's what it would be.
But it was anything but a balanced and blue-chip fund. Turns out David Anderson and Simon Selimage were gambling everyone's money on highly risky investments. A series of bad and very expensive loans, failed property investments, a restaurant chain and brewery, an Indonesian resort, and a huge amount shifted offshore. Not that Simon Selimage revealed any of this when he was out there selling First Guardian.
We believe that First Guardian Super has the best platform in Australia. Present this platform to anyone in Collins Street or Pitt Street in Sydney, they will love it.
What Selimage's sales pitch failed to mention was the huge personal gains about to be made by people in on the schemes. This is new vision released by ASIC when investigators, along with the federal police, began raiding homes in the past few months. Stacks of cash, keys to luxury cars, and an obscene collection of watches worth more than $240,000. And there was also this Lamborghini Urus, bought by Selimage for nearly $600,000.
As well as Simon Selimage's Lamborghini, David Anderson put nearly $6 million into his private bank account and used members' funds to pay the mortgage on this $9 million mansion here in Melbourne's upmarket Hawthorne. But that was just the start of it. Investigators believe that in the final months of First Guardian's existence, Anderson moved more than $250 million offshore. Members' funds, the liquidators say, will be almost impossible to get back.
To think that, you work all your life to support yourself through retirement, to see somebody else just living the high life on your money. It's horrible.
It is, yeah.
Do you believe this is criminal, what's happened to
Absolutely.
you?
Oh, hell yeah. It's
Yes,
definitely what has
yeah.
happened to us and everyone involved and affected by it.
Because it's
But
theft.
yeah, when you look
Yeah,
at it in that
it
regard,
is.
that's proceeds of crime.
These are Australian citizens, okay, that have just completely raped and pillaged their fellow Australian, is what they've done.
But all the pain they've caused others hasn't seemingly impacted First Guardian's architects. We found David Anderson still living a life of luxury in a sprawling Victorian rural retreat.
We talk about, you know, what we're going to do when we retire. We can't even think about anything like that. It's awful. It's really...
It all came crashing down in May last year. First Guardian sent an email saying there was a company restructure.
I get the email saying assets are being frozen and this and that. It was frozen as in due to basically, I interpret it as like a restructure.
Something corporate was going on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you have these things, you know, you don't get a guard dog and do all the barking yourself. You know, you put your faith in these people.
I expressed my concern. I was advised there was nothing to be concerned about. It was a very routine thing. And the reason why they stopped money going in and out when they're doing a restructure is to ensure the stability for the best interest of the investors.
They all had correspondence from First Guardian saying in May 2024 there was a restructure going on. Essentially, First Guardian was frozen then and there. There were no deposits, no withdrawals. They couldn't access their money.
Now, First Guardian was telling investors that, you know, new money was coming. They were doing a restructure. They were telling ASIC the same thing. Eventually, we lost patience and we formed the view that this so-called, you know, restructure or these so-called funds were not going to appear.
They were just trying to buy time, in other words.
They were trying to buy time. And, you know, by that stage, as I understand it, you know, unfortunately, a lot of these monies had already been, you know, dissipated.
The restructure was, in fact, a confusing lie.
There was a sense of hope because the balance hadn't changed. It was still fixed at $361,000. So it hadn't changed. So you're thinking, okay, well, my money's still there. And it was such a false sense of hope as well, because you don't imagine that that amount of money just disappears.
So you could log on and could you see your balance of $314,000?
Yep, and that hadn't changed.
So when did you both realise that your hard-earned savings had gone?
I still could look on the 30th of June this year and the money was still there. 1st of July, zero.
How much money did you have in there?
240.
So I log in and sure enough, it reflected on my superannuation account. It went from 314,000 down to now 9,000.
But they still held on to hope. Like thousands of others, they wrongly believed their superannuation was somehow protected or underwritten by the government.
I'm one of those ones who always believed superannuation was government guaranteed. So, you know, I didn't think that maybe I'm being scammed or anything like that.
Did you, like Brad, believe that super was guaranteed somewhere in the system? That
Absolutely.
It was underwritten? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They just wiped out people's balances. Most people went to zero. And that's just been shattering for people. No heads up. On the 5th of July, mine went from $360 to $11,000. And no email, no phone call, it's just gone.
All this happened, my family finds out, my mother rings me and begs me not to kill myself. You know? Yeah, she did not want to bury her son. I told her, no, I'm not going to do that.
But your own mum was worried you're going to take your life because of all this.
She was, yeah. You know, she begged me not to. And, Ma, I'm not going to give the pricks a satisfaction.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough.
No, this is scum-sucking gutter trash we're talking about here. You know, parasites.
Next, we put the hard questions to the man everyone's looking for. And the key financial advisor ignores his lawyers to reveal all.
How do you sleep at night? The truth of it is, none of this scheme could have been pulled off without a network of very well-paid financial advisors. They were the critical link in the chain. Now, one of those financial advisors here in Melbourne is well and truly in the sights of investigators.
All right, good to go. Why have you agreed to talk to us?
I just want to get my truth out, and I think that my version will help, lead people to what's actually happened and what's gone wrong.
You advised about 6,000 clients to put their hard-earned life savings into these funds, about $400 million worth. That money has vanished. How do you sleep at night?
I don't. It's hard. It kills me every day. That's in one shape or form I've been involved, whether directly or indirectly, in support of this particular product. This is where Venture Egg's main base was. We had over 40 staff helping clients every day.
Against the advice of his lawyers, Ferris Murphy agreed to front the cameras for the first time.
Everything that I'm going through now is what needs to happen. And
Ferris, like many advisors, was rewarded richly for recommending First Guardian to clients by way of huge marketing fees. You received $13 million through your management outfit, a $6.3 million loan, $6.5 million received with descriptions relating to First Guardian. I put that at about $25.8 million. Is that what you received?
No, I did not receive 25. It's approximately around 19. Most of that money is with Google and Facebook, and the
on marketing, you mean?
On marketing, correct. Like I didn't pocket this money. It's not in my pocket. It's monies that were spent on these ads that were being put on to these platforms. They have most of that money, not me.
That's hard to believe, though. There's a lot of money to remain completely neutral. That's money that you receive to promote yourself, to promote their products. I mean, there is a built-in bias with that, surely.
And this is exactly what I'm saying. If there was a bias, the process I went through by having independent parties verify the appropriateness of the product, ensure that any bias that did exist were mitigated.
But did you turn a blind eye to any further scrutiny by yourself because you were personally earning a fortune out of this?
Never, and I didn't ever earn a fortune out of this.
Even still, $19 million. Your clients have lost everything.
Yeah, and I'm losing everything as well. I'm losing my career, my reputation, and I'm now out of work. I don't have anywhere to work anymore. I'm shunned.
Well, you were their financial advisor. They were meant to trust you.
Yeah,
you failed them.
I understand that at this point in time, it feels like that I have. And what I'm saying is that in hindsight, and the benefit of hindsight, yes. But at the time that I gave the recommendation, there was nothing to suggest that there was anything, that the clients were getting anything but a benefit and that their retirement savings were going up. And that's what my intention was. I have other clients that aren't exposed to any First Guardian products that are doing very, very well. It should never have happened. And I'm upset that the system has allowed this product to flourish the way it did under not just myself.
But do you do any due diligence at all about the investments?
Of course. I have a robust checking system that I've been using for the last 17 years. And me relying on these auditors and research houses and billion-dollar platforms that have been around longer than I've been alive, if I've been misled, then everybody's been misled. But it can't be that I somehow knew that there was this, secret little pact that was going on. It's just wrong.
But you're not trying to say that you're a victim here.
I'm trying to say that I'm not the only person to blame here.
You've got everybody is trying to blame one another, and nobody is standing up and saying, you know something, let's own it. Let's own what we did wrong. Let's own the fact that we didn't do the due diligence that we should have done, as trustees and licensees and advisors, and take responsibility.
It is very possible that David Anderson lied to everyone, including Ferris Murphy. ASIC, however, is less forgiving. It's banned Ferris from being a financial advisor, frozen his assets, and seized his passport.
All because Ferris claims he put his faith and his client's money in First Guardian's David Anderson. What did you say to David Anderson?
I sat him down and I looked him in the eye and I said, "Is everything fine with your fund?" And he looked me dead and square in the eye and said, "Everything is fine." And I said, "So clients' monies are safe?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Are you lying to me?" He said, "This is the truth, Ferris. You don't have to worry. Our clients' monies are safe." And that's the conversation I had. And then later on, when things went wrong, I said to him, "You fucking lied to me." That's that conversation. And I've never spoken to him again after that. And I never want to be honest, so.
And how do I know you're not lying now?
Time will tell you whether I'm lying or not.
Well, if he lied to you, you lied to your client.
If he lied to me, I lied to my clients. No, I didn't lie to my clients. I told my clients what I believed to be true at the time. And everything suggested that it was at the time.
They've been devastated.
Correct.
Their lives are in ruins. Some are suicidal.
And Michael, I'm with them in this. I'm not perfect, Michael. I know that I'm not perfect. But to suggest that I went out there trying to put clients in a bad product, it's just not me. I'm not that. I would never do that.
Do you have an opinion about all those financial advisors making a fortune in marketing fees?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, a bunch of fuckwits. Yeah, no, I'd like 5 minutes alone with them. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks. What have I got to lose at the moment?
Can these guys not be chased down and prosecuted and assets frozen and put it back into us getting back something?
Do you have your house, you have your car, you have savings?
Well, yes, I have my house, of course. Like, I have to live somewhere. And I hope every other client hasn't lost their house due to this. I've been investigated since November 2023, and I've been cooperating with ASIC fully. I've never not responded to any questions that they've had. I haven't gone and liquidated and run away and shirked my responsibility. I've stood firm on my 2 feet, responding to every single question. I don't know what else I could do more than what I am now.
Ferris's firm stand and willingness to explain himself is about to be severely tested. Late on Friday, ASIC hit Ferris with serious civil action alleging a number of breaches, including unconscionable conduct, failing the best interests of his clients, pocketing millions in fees, as well as applying to appoint a receiver for his property and liquidating his remaining businesses. Next, the missed warnings.
This corporate cop is hopeless.
And the missing millions.
Morning, David.
We find the man who knows.
What have you done with the money?
Today, suddenly the alarms go off.
That is...
The air raid sirens.
Yep, let's go.
Drop it, let's go.
Go, go, go.
And I start sprinting.
If anyone can provide answers to Australians who've lost their superannuation, it's the government watchdog ASIC.
Michael, how are you? Ducking in out of here. Come on in, that's your seat there.
Here today at their Sydney headquarters for answers. Well, Sarah, moments before we sat down, you've taken action. What action is that?
Yeah, ASIC has filed proceedings against equity trustees, but this is the first civil penalty proceedings that we have filed, and we've done that because we think the trustees do have a case to answer here for having these kinds of funds on their platforms and available to their members.
Those platforms were Equity Trustees, Macquarie, Diversa and Netwealth. All reputable, all well known to superannuation investors. The
hard question for you sitting here, the investors are saying, where was ASIC in all of this? Where was the regulator? Why weren't you aware? Why didn't you see the red flags that these funds were rotten?
Yeah. Well, I think those are fair questions for investors to ask. These matters that we are investigating are amongst the most complex and most resource-intensive matters we have ever undertaken. And it's been a little bit like, you know, you pull a piece of string and there is more and more misconduct, more and more entities, more and more individuals involved.
ASIC is a very sick regulator, so none of this is a surprise. So this is the report?
Federal Liberal Senator Andrew Bragg led an investigation into ASIC last year.
They were warned back in October 2023 from a very reputable financial services company that there was massive malfeasance here. That took almost a year to announce a proper full investigation. There are large businesses that have made complaints and warnings about First Guardian, and ASIC ignored them.
I mean, I have an email here from March 2022 where ASIC was tipped off and warned about suspicious activities inside First Guardian. It was sent to ASIC, and an ASIC officer replied in early 2022, "Thanks for the email, I confirm receipt." This is from a lawyer financial services enforcement within ASIC. So that's early 2022 when ASIC was alerted to concerns inside First Guardian. But it's 2.5 years after that that ASIC took action.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to see the email and understand it better. So far as I'm aware, we were certainly not on notice of any issues with the fund itself.
This email's from an insider, and it was clear that there was fighting going on inside First Guardian about lack of payments. So people had an interest here to start complaining.
Right.
So the email I've got from Paul Kyoto, who is tied up in all of this, but he says he sent this to ASIC in March, 24th of March 2022, saying these activities show a strong intent of illegal activity, and activity is now systemic within the makeup of the First Guardian Fund. I strongly suggest that ASIC now takes a more active role. So was this just not taken seriously or missed?
I would be a little wary about allegations being made by Mr. Kyoto, who was at the very heart, in our view, of a big portion of this misconduct.
Sure, he may not be reputable, but he did lay out concerns that you're now investigating properly well before ASIC took action. This is 2.5 years before ASIC took action about First Guardian. So like or loathe his character, this is exactly what you're investigating now.
Yes, and as I say, we were looking at those issues and a range of like issues throughout, 2021, 22 in relation to the models. And as again, I have to see the email and get a more detailed response.
That's the officer. I won't say the person's name, but that's his name on the bottom.
Yeah, well, that won't help me because I won't know him, I'm afraid. But I'm very happy to look at it in more detail.
We provided ASIC with that email and another which may well go to the heart of the fraud. I mean, I have evidence through whistleblowers that advisors were filling out forms for clients, elevating them from low-risk categories to high-risk categories without their knowledge.
I can't comment on that specifically, Michael, but I can certainly say that we are exploring or have evidence, I think I'm right in saying this, of advisors moving people between asset classes or changing their risk ratings without the client or without the investor's knowledge.
One such investor, which ASIC would like to speak with, I'm sure, is a builder's labourer who'd never owned any shares or equities, has brain damage, a speech impairment, and is illiterate. So, and the name is here, this advisor wrote and filled in the answers to his questionnaire for him. Now, if that's true...
That is shocking if that's true. It is,
Is that criminal behaviour? Is that fraud?
Well, I don't want to leap to a label about what it is in a legal sense, but on any measure, it is shocking.
Someone who could provide all the answers and save ASIC a lot of work and investors a lot of heartache is David Anderson.
Morning, David. What have you done with the money? Are you going to return the money? David?
Over the last few weeks, we've seen him move from his Melbourne mansion to a country property, strolling through the neighbourhood.
David, there's lots of people that have lost their money. How do you live with that?
But not a word about where investors' money went. One thing seems clear. Of the $441 million Anderson and his partner Simon Selamaj received from retiree investors, only about $2.2 million has been found.
Will they get any of their money back? Will this action lead to potentially them receiving some of their savings back?
Yeah, we are doing everything we can with our North Star, if you like, of getting as much money back for investors as we possibly can. And we understand the frustration for investors and the uncertainty that is currently there. We are looking at every potential angle that we can. I don't want to give investors and say there's no hope. On the other hand, I don't want to give investors false hope.
This isn't just about 12,000 Australians. This is about all Australians that put money in their super to be protected from your David Andersons. They've raped and pillaged 12,000 hardworking Australians of their life savings.
It must be hard, but do you let yourself think about the future now and what it holds for you?
I do think about it, and, you know, I don't even want to spend money now, because I feel like we need that for when we retire. Go to bed thinking about it, wake up thinking about it.
What does retirement look like now for you?
I can't see it. I honestly cannot see it. I'll just have to keep working.
I always said to Michelle, I said, as long as I'm with you, I'd be happy in a tent. And maybe it's going to be that.
It might be.
I might be in a tent.
You'll keep me warm.
Yep.